Okay, I'm gonna bring you a stream here real quick. Change scenes. Alright, so this is Farming Simulator 19. It's been out for a little over, I want to say 2 years. The link to the website, to the game, is in the description. I'm gonna bring you a little quick guide and a little bit of Farming Simulator 21 news, which is the next release of the game, and that doesn't seem to be coming out until it was supposed to release at, you know, the fourth quarter of this year, the third quarter, around like October, and it's not going to come out then. They've delayed it, and I'll get into reasons on that later. I'm going to see if I can get my controller to work here. It does not look like it's registering, so let me get on here and get my controller working, and then we'll get into the game a little bit more. The main screen, obviously you see it's just your options and stuff. Okay, there we go. Back into the game. Okay, cool. So you have career, obviously, you have multiplayer, tutorials, and then you have mods, which the mods are going to be pretty much everything. I mean, you can download a mod for pretty much anything in the game. I wouldn't advise using too many mods in the beginning. Just kind of get a feel for the game. You're going to make a couple different worlds. That's very common. I would say get a money mod and have like a world that you just kind of test on. Because there's a lot to this game. The changes between 2017 and 2019 are pretty big. They added the John Deere, more John Deere variants that they didn't have in 2017. But let's jump into a game. You have, when you're here, when you select career, you have, you know, your different saves that you can save on. So we're gonna go to 1, and then here you have 3 options where it's kind of easy, medium, and hard. New farmers easy. You know, you start with some money, some land, and some tools or equipment. Farm manager, you start with a lot more money, but nothing. And then from scratch, you start with very low everything. If you're a new player, don't start from scratch. You're not gonna have a good time. This is a very grindy game, like a treadmill. So we're gonna go into the first one. New farmer, and we're gonna go to Fellsbrunn. You can do Ravenport, but I like Fellsbrunn too. It feels a little bit more realistic. Then you have a character option. You know, you can change what your character looks like. So, you know, this isn't a big deal to me. And we're gonna continue that, and then when you have different mods installed, this is where you can, you know, deselect or select what mods you have. Because sometimes you'll go and you'll join another player on their world, and they might not have the mods that you have. Excuse me, and you know, it won't let you join them. It'll say, you know, so and so doesn't have the mods, or you're required these mods. They might have mods that you don't have, but it'll tell you what they have, and you can just go download them real quick as well. We're gonna go ahead and start, and I'm gonna give you a quick, basic guide on, you know, what I would do as a beginner. It's not gonna get you rich, but it's gonna get you in a good position to be in a stable spot in the game, to where you're not broke, things like that. So we're gonna go ahead and start here. Alright, so when you load into a world, it's going to basically load you at a spawn point, which mine is right here. Now, whenever you save your game and you leave your game, you're not going to spawn right here every time. It does have controller support, which is what I'm playing on now. Right trigger runs, which is what I would travel all the time, is running. You start off with a little bit of basic equipment, like I got, you know, this is a fendant, I think, yeah. So we have a fendant here with, you know, a weight and a seeder. You have, you know, another tractor here, and if you want to look at what you have, oops, this wrong button. You can open your garage by, on a controller you press the select button, and it'll bring up a menu where you can buy new tractors and stuff like that. And anytime you buy anything, it's going to spawn at the shop. But if you press select and you press Y for garage or triangle on a PS4 controller, it'll show you what you own right now. Even the buildings, like some of these buildings we're probably going to sell off because you don't need, they're just for aesthetics. You don't really need them. But you can go in and you can see what you have and how much horsepower everything has. And that's the key in this game, is horsepower and horsepower and horsepower. Like you know, you have a cultivator here and it requires 100 horsepower. And then you have, you know, tractors that this one's 150, this one's 115, and this one's 115. So you'll be able to work that no problem. And then you have, you know, your seeder, and it'll tell you what type of seed you can plant. It'll tell you if it holds fertilizer or not, and it'll tell you if it can attach to any other items. But that's later. We'll get to attachments and stuff like that in a different stream. But I'm just going to give you the rundown of the buttons. So when you first spawn in, you always have a field that's kind of ready. Like if you bring your map up big, any number that's in the green, like 1920, is a field that you own. And usually they have one ready for you. So let's walk over here to this field. So you always have a field that's ready. Like this field right here is ready. When you go up to a field down on the bottom right, it's going to tell you who owns the field, what kind of fruit type it is, the growth, the fertilized, and the weed. Now, fertilized and weed, let's go into those options. Because there's some options you're going to want to change as a new player. Like, you can turn the help window on if you want. It'll display on the left side what your buttons are. Money unit, that's just depending on where you live. You can do pound, euros, or dollar. Measuring, you can do kilometers or miles, and hectares or acres. Interactive zone markers, that's where if you're going to dump, if you have like something you're going to dump in, there's going to be a yellow, like I'll show you when we go to dump something, there'll be like a yellow square around it, and it kind of tells you where you can dump. Field info, that's what we were just talking about. Your radio, you can turn it on and off. You can, in your files, you can make your own radio station. If anybody wants to know how to do that, just leave a comment and I'll show you. I'll make just a quick special video on how to show you to link. You can link a Spotify radio station, you can link a Sirius XM radio station, or you can just link specific music from a website to your radio, and it'll be, you know, when you have your radio on, it'll be playing whatever music you select. So that's kind of cool. Different cameras, stuff like that. So we're gonna check our steering back speed, which is where, like, when you are in a tractor like this and you steer, it's the snapback of the front tires. So let's say I'm gonna turn it right, and when I let go of the controller, it's the speed in which that comes back. So that's kind of slow, but it'll be okay. You know, that's about an average. So let's get out of there. Let's reopen our menu and go through the rest of these. Oops. Let's see. You're gonna want to turn off switch to trains, especially in the beginning, because you're not gonna load up a train, you know, in the very beginning. So you want to turn that off. Volume, I'm gonna crank that down a little bit just for stream purposes. So, you know, just kind of, that's up to you. Environment volume, you can keep that down. GUI volume, you can keep that down. Now the next option page is the one here with the tractor and the gear. Now this is kind of your really important one. You can name your save game. So we're going to name this one YouTube, just for purposes. YouTube stream, let's say. Like so. Alright. You can save it as well. Anytime you do anything in these screens, you're gonna kind of want to save it so that way you don't lose what you've done. And then here's where you get to time scale. Now time scale is the speed at which the game changes. You can have it on real time, and it's gonna take, you know, I mean, it's real time. I don't know if anybody's an actual farmer, but let's say it's quite a while to have things grow if you're on real time. I like to keep it on 15. That's a good variant between going too fast and going too slow. It's kind of good in the middle. Economic difficulty, this is preference. You can put it on hard, you can put it on easy, you can put it on normal. I'm going to leave it on normal. Traffic, you're going to want to turn off. Only reason is because the cars are kind of stupid in this game, and they'll do stupid stuff. And if you have a worker that's working a field beside a road, and there's a car on the road, the worker will get confused, and he'll say he's blocked by an object. And you'll go check on him, and he'll have, you know, 10 cars piled up, his tractor will be all crooked, everything will be all goofed out. So you're going to want to turn that off. It's also personal. If you like to see the cars drive by, then leave it on. But if you don't want to see the cars and you don't want to deal with a worker getting stuck on every little thing, then turn it off. Dirt, that's up to you. You know, fast, off, slow. I leave it on normal. Sometimes I put it on fast just for fun. So we'll just leave it on normal. Automatic engine start. This is where if you spawn into a tractor or you jump into a tractor, the engine's automatically going to start. You can turn that off, which is actually what I do. Just because I like the feel of it. I like to hear it. But that's up to you. We'll leave it on for now for this kind of purpose. Stop and go braking. This is where if it removes the reverse option of, like, let's say you're going to go forward with right trigger, but you want to go in reverse, you hold the brake down, and you have to wait until your tractor stops before you can reverse. So we'll show that kind of later. I'm going to leave it in its setting right now. Fuel usage, obvious, you know, that's up to you. Now this is where I would say you want to change all this helper refill. You want to turn all the helper refills off. Unless you have a good farm and you can get your fertilizer or your slurry or your manure from your cow field. If you're in a good position and you have a lot of manure or a lot of slurry, keep it to where you buy from your own field. If not, just keep it off. Because if you leave it on, it's going to cost more as they work. And they're already a little expensive sometimes. Especially if you have a massive farm and you have like 5 or 6 workers at one time. You know, this makes a difference. Because you can fill up your seeds. You can fill up your fertilizer on your own. You don't want them to buy it. And you don't want them to buy the fuel either. So we're going to leave all these off. Our plant growth, you can either turn it off, slow, which I don't know why you would want to turn your plant growth off. That's kind of a weird thing to me. I don't get that. I don't understand. I mean, it's a farming game. You want to leave it on. You can put it on fast, normal, or slow. We're going to just keep it normal. Plant withering, we're going to keep that off. This is for if you don't get to your field in time to harvest it, they'll die. And you don't want that. I mean, it's a game. It's not that serious. You know what I mean? If you want to play it to where everything withers, then hey, that's on you. But to me, I like to leave it off. And also crop destruction. I turn it off. Now, periodic plowing required. I actually turn this on because it gives me something to do sometimes. And lime required, I turn that off. And weeds, I turn that off. Just because I don't want to deal with work in one field 4 or 5 times. You know, you're gonna have to plow it, you're gonna have to lime it, then you're gonna have to seed it, then you're gonna have to fertilize it, and then you're gonna have to de-weed it, and then you're gonna have to fertilize it. You get what I'm saying? It's too much for one field. That's why I only do plowing. It just kind of helps as the game goes on. Autosave interval, that's up to you. And that's pretty much all my settings I use. Other than a few things like automatic start, I turn that off. And I usually keep my plant growth on fast. So we'll actually put that on fast. But other than that, that's everything I use. So we're going to save those options. Now up here at the top is all your tabs. It'll, we just went over these two options. It shows you your keys and your mouse button. So right here it shows your statistics, how much work you've done, which I haven't done anything yet, so that's kind of good. Our time played is 11 minutes. Now missions or contracts, they used to be called missions. This is something I would recommend any new player get into. It's fairly simple. They provide your equipment for you. It gives you money, and all you do is just go around and do random things like transport items to one place, and you get money for it. Now as you do contracts for these people, they own a field. Let's say you do 5 contracts for this guy, but no contracts for this chick, or she doesn't own a field. So no contracts for this dude and 5 for him. This field is going to get cheaper. It's like reputation. You build up with them. So if you're into buying fields a lot, do their contract. If let's say you want to buy field 17 and you want field 17, come in and do a mission for them every now and then. You can just do missions all day for them as well, if that's what you want to do, and it'll make the field a little bit cheaper. So that's something to remember. Animals, I don't have any animals. And then this will tell you your finances. Let's say it'll show you how much money you have, how much of a loan you have, and you can borrow money as well, but then you have to repay it, and it has an interest that takes out every day at midnight. Every day at midnight you're going to get subtracted money plus an interest fee if you have a loan. So we're not going to mess with loans yet. We're just going to play with the dirty basics of the game, and that's it. The next tab is going to be your vehicles. It'll show you what vehicles you own, how many days you've used them, how much time they have on them, their maintenance level. This I don't understand. I guess if it's a leased item, yeah, that's what that is. If it's leased or not, and their value. Which our most valuable item is our New Holland TX32, which I'm pretty sure is our harvester or our combine, depending on what you call it. Alright, the next tab is going to be the prices. Now this is where you're going to spend a lot of your time. And what I would do if I was a new player, even still as a regular veteran player, I go in and I see what's selling for the most. Usually it's canola, which is, I believe, this one. Oh, that's cool. You can separate by that as well. And you see how they're selling for $12.30 at the grain mill per liter. And soybean is selling really good too. It's $17.45 at the Port Northwest. So what does that mean, the Port Northwest? So on your map, you have different spots you have that you can sell. It's like, here's the grain mill. You're here. You can follow the road, or you can drive through the fields. It's up to you. So the Port Northwest, I'm going to assume, is in the northwest, which is right here. So that's pretty far. So you gotta compensate for your travel time. You don't want to sell things at the Port Northwest just because it's $100 more than somewhere that's close. If that makes sense. Like, you see how this one's $1,600 and this one's $1,700. It's only $100 more, but the train station mill, you can tag it as well. The train station mill is right here. So you can travel a quarter of the distance or a third of the distance for $100 less. I think that would be a better option. It's just right down the hill here. It's right there. You can go this way and come right up to it. Sell there. You're only losing $100 a liter, which isn't much when you're only pooling. I think our trailer is how many liters? Let's see. Our trailer is 10,750 liters. I mean, think about it. You're gonna lose 1,000, but you're traveling a third of the distance. So you can make 3 times. You can go back and forth 3 times in the one time you're going up to the other place. So keep that in mind as well, how far you're traveling. So I think that's pretty much most of the menu, other than your map, which we'll get into this now, I suppose. But anyway, these are all the prices for everything. You have, I don't know what that is. I think that's wheat. Let me scroll back over. Okay. Might be wheat. Not sure what each of them are. I know that's cotton, sunflower, soybean, corn, potatoes, beets, sugar beets, cotton, sugar cane, eggs, because you can have, you know, chickens in the game as well, which we'll get into animals at a later point. Yarn, milk, and this is chaff. This is chopped up grass or corn, which we'll get into that later as well. Silo grass, which is what's it called? Oh man, it's part of the power food mix. Oh my goodness, my brain just went blank. But anyway, then you have dried grass, which is this. You have regular grass, and then you have straw, manure, and slurry. So our main focus are going to be these three items right here. Canola is probably going to be our go-to for a while. But let's go ahead and start a harvest on a field. So we own field 19 and we own field 20. So what you can do is you can go into the shop and you can go ahead and buy a plow and turn this into one field. But that's kind of like the tricky stuff you can do later. I wouldn't really worry about, you know, making new fields yet. I would just say start with the basics and try to figure out what's going on with the basics. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to plow a field properly, which is, or not plow, but harvest a field, which is pretty simple. We'll hire a worker and that'll show you how the worker is and how everything works. And field 19 was ready. So how do you know what's ready and what you don't, and what's not? So over here on your map screen, you have filters here on the right side, which is, it shows you each color, which here's a list of what I was looking at and I couldn't really name what was what. You know, you have wheat, which is the kind of the lighter yellow, barley, which is the darker yellow, oat, which is the orange, cotton white. You know, you can kind of see where I'm getting at here. But if you click on one single item, let's say we're going to click on wheat, it'll hide any wheat field. Barley, it'll hide that. Cotton, you get what I'm saying? It'll hide any field that has that growing in it. I don't really recommend doing this, but that's kind of up to you. You can just highlight only specific fields, you know, but just keep them all lit. There's no reason not to, except for the grass, because the grass is going to be everywhere. Now, here on your tab at the top, you can choose to show or hide specific buildings, like it hides my structures. This will hide different quests on the map. This will hide all your dump points. This will hide your implements, like your plows, your, like how they're lit up here in the yellow. If I click on it, some of them will disappear. This will hide your trailer. This will hide your harvester or your combine, and this one will hide your tractors. So, but then you have an option here that you can scroll through. You have fruit types, which is what we're on now. You can scroll over to the growth, and this is where it really matters. You have your ready to harvest stages, which is yellow, orange, or light orange, and then dark orange. You have, you know, withered, which is the brown, which we don't have any withering, so we can turn that option off. Remove tops, which is your sugar beets, which will never do that. Plowed, which shows you what is ready, or ready to harvest, or ready to seed. And then you have your harvested fields, which is our field 20 has already been harvested, not by us, of course. You can disable ready to harvest, which I don't understand why anybody would do that. Growing, you have your different stages from the light green all the way to the dark green. Cultivated, which is a field that's, you know, prepared, because you have to cultivate before you can, you know, seed, which that's what I'm going to show you right now. on field 19. We're going to jump on field 19. We're going to get it harvested. We're going to get it plowed, possibly. And then we're going to get it seeded. So let's option out of this. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're ready to do a field, you're going to go over to your harvester, which it could be anywhere. You can use right on the directional pad and left on the directional pad of a controller, or tab on a keyboard, and it'll send you through each vehicle. So we're going to go to our harvester. Now, in our harvester, it's not connected, the header. That's something you have to do on your own, but you only have to do it once. So let's pull forward and let's grab it. Now, up in the top left corner, it'll show you your buttons. It'll show you detach, hire worker, select tool, and select camera. You can also hold left bumper, and it'll give you a couple little bit more options, like just disable straw and turn on. And you can hold your right bumper. Give me 1 second. You can hold your right bumper, and it's the option of the horn. You can hold them both at the same time and set your cruise control. Our cruise control is very important, especially if you're in a tractor following beside a harvester. So we'll get in that right here in a second, but first thing we're going to do is we're going to hold left bumper and we're going to unfold our harvester, which you see some things happening, obviously. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn it on like that. Now when you start, you're going to see some of the straw come out of the back of it. Let me zoom out. You see that little line right there? We're going to save all that. So what I'm also going to do, I'm going to jump out for sound purposes. But if you look, you have this straw now on the ground, which is a very important ingredient in a lot of things. So we're going to jump back in, and instead of me doing this, it would take me a while to do this, and it would be a very boring episode. I'm going to hire a worker. And now he's going to do it on his own. If there's any problems, it's going to come up on the side of the screen saying, helper blocked by an object, or he's going to be full, which is probably what's going to happen first. So now what you're going to do, or what you want to do, is you want to go ahead and you want to hook up to a trailer. And the game starts you with all this unless you start on, start from scratch, or the other option. Some of this you won't have. So we're going to hook up to a trailer. We're going to pull this out. It has a canvas on top, so the buttons are the same. Left bumper for one option, right bumper for the other option. So we're going to open the cover. We're going to park this over here. I'm not going to use it yet. I'm going to wait for him to be full. And then I'm going to go and, empty him. So we're just going to put this kind of close by so we have it ready. Maybe like right here looks good. Oh, and also when we have a plow, we can plow all of this. We can plow all of it and use it all as a field. So now the next thing we're going to do is, while he's working, we have that ready. The next thing you want to do is you want to find your second field. You always have two if you start as a new farmer, which is going to be this field. Now this field already says it's harvested. It has 0 fertilizer. It looks, it looks like dirt. And we have a tractor here with a weight in front of it and a cultivator behind it. So we're going to jump in this one. We're going to go ahead and hook everything up like so. Fairly simple. You don't necessarily need the weight, but that's kind of up to you. We're going to pull forward to the edge of this field like so. We're going to lower our cultivator, and what this is going to do is it's going to prepare the field to be seeded. You can do this on your own. You can hire a worker to do this. It's kind of personal preference. If you want to do it on your own, you might want to throw on some music or a Netflix show or something like that. go ahead and just kind of do it that way. What I like to do is I don't really. Sometimes I like to do it on my own. Sometimes I don't. It's just kind of. It depends on what I got going on. Like right now, I'm waiting on that to fill up, so I'm not really gonna worry too much. And workers cost money. And money is very, very important right now. Which I'll show you how we make some quick money in the beginning too. So let's go ahead and work this a little bit until he gets full, and then we'll hire a worker and we'll come back and we'll dismiss the worker and continue on. But yeah, Farming Simulator 21. It was supposed to release at the end of this year, around Christmas, which is around, you know, more so around November, late November. But they delayed it, and I kind of heard rumors that they were going to delay it, but I didn't believe it because they've always been very consistent on, you know, having their next version ready. And so, you know, I didn't think much of it. And then I went to the website to see if they had a more stable release date. And they also posted a thread about, you know, on the forums about delaying FS21 due to the new gen consoles. They don't want to release, which I don't understand that really. I guess they want to rework it and retune it, but why they can't just go ahead and release the PC version, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that whole situation. But they did delay it, and they're going to come out with a couple expansions instead. I think I'm going to miss that one. Oh no, I got it. They're going to come out with a couple expansions, of course, a couple DLCs. And so, I mean, if you're waiting for FS21 to come out, I wouldn't even worry about it right now, because it could be up to another 8 to 10 months. So I would say keep grinding on 19 or 17 or whichever one you're grinding on. Like I was grinding on FS15 for a long time. I think it's one of their better versions. This one's nice. Don't get me wrong. This one, you can have horses on this one, which it's kind of personal preference. I don't really see the point of a horse, but you know, hey, whatever. So we're gonna keep working this. So we had 1 hour in the game go by, and you see up on the top right, $99 wage payment. So we're paying him $99 an hour, which is a little absurd to me, but hey, whatever. You know, it's a game. So we're gonna continue doing this until he fills up. I don't know what, I know one of their expansions is gonna be a logging expansion. I never really got into logging. That is a quick, early way to make money. There are a lot of logging maps out, but it's just not something I was into. It just felt very slow to me. Just standing in the woods cutting down trees. Now this, I guess, I can't really say much because this is pretty slow. But I think with them waiting till the next gen of consoles was kind of a good move. They don't want to release, you know, a $60 game on a PlayStation 4 and then it not be optimized for the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox X or whatever it's called this time. The Xbox 4. They didn't want to have to rework an entire game. But I mean, in a sense, they kind of knew that already. I mean, if you think about it, everybody knew the next gen consoles were coming out this year. Everybody. We knew that last year. So why they didn't go ahead and rework it, I don't know. And what really needs to be reworked, I mean, the console is handling the rendering of the game, not the game itself. I don't know. That's kind of a weird situation they did there. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But so as you cultivate your field, now we'll jump out and we'll look at this. So instead of, you know, it's saying in my field info fruit type wheat growth harvested and fertilized 0%, it's gonna say field info owned by me and fertilized at 0%. and now this field is ready to be seeded. I don't know how much he's full. You can also check on him. You can just scroll over, see what he's doing. It would have probably been smarter. Let me do this. It would have been smarter to go the long way. That's something also you should think about doing when you're harvesting a field. Don't go the short direction, because then all you're doing is you're turning more. And if you're turning more, you're using more fuel. So we're going to go the long way. As in from this edge to that end down there. He'll fill up a little bit quicker, so it'll be good for us. Let's go ahead and go back over to here. We'll continue on this field, preparing it to be seeded. I'm still kind of debating on buying a plow and turning it into one field, but we'll see. So yeah, FS21, I know there's new crops. I think they could rework the traffic a little bit, and I would like to see, actually, what I would like to see in the new farming simulator is, instead of fields just changing, like let's say we're over here cultivating this field, and I look over there and that field goes from the field off in the distance over there on the other side of the trees, it goes from, you know, harvested or plowed to fully seeded. I want to see, you know, that actually happen. I want to see a bot out there doing his thing. You know what I mean? Like, it just, the realism goes away when things just change instantly. And I know that's probably hard for them to do. For that algorithm to be able to run a bot back and forth the whole time. So, I don't know. Now, you can download things. Let's say you've been playing for a week or so, you really like the game, you were into mods a little bit. There's also a couple things you can download to have, you know, bots follow your tractor. There's mods you can download to have things do it on its own, which I didn't really like that. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I know one's called Follow Me, and then I can't remember the name of the other one. You set like waypoints, and the tractors drive from waypoint to waypoint. Like, you can have it, you can have a tractor, you can have a combine out harvesting the field, dumping it into a bin, have the bin tractor drive over, dump it into your silo, and then, you know, it continuously do that, and you don't even have to play the game. But what's the point of that? What's the point of not having to play the game? I mean, think about it. Yeah, it's kind of cool, but then what are you gonna do? Stand back and watch? You know what I mean? So we're gonna work this field some more. He should be getting close to filling up. I think he's going stupid over there. Let's check on him. Okay, he's not. He's doing good, and he's at 78%. So here's what we're gonna do. I hired a worker on that one, so that one's going to continue in the other field. We're going to go ahead and grab our trailer here. We're going to pull up beside our harvester, or our combine, depending on whatever you call it. Oh, what's up, Survival? Yeah, this is, I wouldn't call it hard. This is very, like, treadmill-y. Like, let me tell you. To get a good base going, like, or not a base, to get a good start going, it takes a lot of time. I would just say, instead of, some people, what they'll do is they'll buy a whole bunch of crap in the beginning, and then they'll be out of money. There are little things you can do to kind of help yourself along. It takes time. That's the only thing. This is a very, very big time sink game. Other than that, it's not very difficult. It's fun. It's addicting in a weird way. It looks boring as crap, though. If you see somebody playing it, oh man, it's the most boring thing you'll ever see. So we're gonna sit here and let this fill up, actually. And then we're gonna check our wheat prices, and we're gonna check where we can sell our wheat. I would say on a scale of difficulty, it's probably like a, out of 10, it's probably like a 6 or a 7, yeah. Just because there's so many options. Like, you know, you start off with a little bit of money and you can go in here in the store and you can blow all your money really quick. The best thing as a new player, I would say, is try to utilize what fields you have when you start out and base what you grow off of the current prices in the system. Oh, a combine. Yeah, you spelled it correct. Yeah, some people call it, we call it a harvester. Well, people call it different things here, depending on where you're at in the country of America. I call it a harvester. Some people call it a combine. But our next plan for these fields that we're harvesting now is we're going to figure out what's selling really good. Just looks like soybean at the port, but we're going to bring it to the train station. So what we're going to plant in our field is only soybean. Now, as you bring soybean in and you're dumping it, these prices are going to go down like that. Like if you flood the market with soybean, you're definitely gonna lose money. So up here at the top bar, there's silos owned. It'll tell you how much you already have of each item. If you see, we have 13,000 liters of that, 15 of that, 9,000. You see, and we can go ahead and we can dump this as well. And that's one thing I recommend as a new player. If you're first coming into the game and you have your trailer, and you know your worker is going ahead and working in the field, go ahead and fill up your trailer as many times as you can and dump all this. Take it to the most expensive place you can, and that'll give you a large batch of money. I would say to do that. So let's drive over here. We're at 48% in our trailer. So what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna go ahead and drive over here to my silo. I'm gonna fill up this trailer the rest of the way, and then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna dump it, and we're gonna see how much money we get just off of that. So let me go over here and fill this up, and then I'm gonna take a quick 5, and I'll be right back. Get over here and fill this up. Now if you already have some of the crop in the trailer, it'll automatically fill up with what you have, like so. So now we're at 100%. I'm gonna take a quick moment. I have to go take care of something real quick, and then I'll be right back. So let me start a quick timer. We'll position ourselves in this guy so there's some sound in the background, and I'll be right back in just a moment. Actually, here, let me bring this back up. I'm probably gonna have to end this stream for just a moment. I'm at 50 minutes anyway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this real quick here, and I'll be back in a little while to go over quick money tips. That's the key in this game, is money, money, money. So I'm gonna end real quick. Stay tuned because I'll be back. And survival, hey man, I don't know if you're streaming today, but hopefully I can catch you if you do stream. And this game is very difficult if you don't be responsible with what money you have. You can make tons of money in this game, and you can own a lot of land in this game. And so what I would do as a new player is just kind of play it safe, play it slow. Yeah, later, buddy. I'll be back in a little while. I had a phone call I got to go take care of. So yeah, I'll be back in a little